I'd always thought the shadow on my wall was the coat hanger, but now I'm not so sure anymore. Every night has been the same routine for a good chunk of my life. Close the door, flick the lights off, crawl into bed, and convince yourself the shadow on the wall is simply your coat hanger. I'd never been completely sure, but it was a matter of laying awake in paralyzing fear or falling asleep with something potentially dangerous. Me, someone who never truly gets a good night's sleep, has always chosen the latter. It got to the point where the shadow on the wall was a constant reassurance in my life, my cling to reality I call it. It was a stabilizing factor in my life, and with that I began to pay it no mind. It was just routine. Something that was unusual at the beginning but slowly seeped into an almost comfort in your life. I began to think otherwise when I saw the shadow subtly move. I thought my eyes had been playing tricks on me. It was such a slight, subtle difference that you could never be sure you weren't just seeing things. So I packed the information into the back of my mind and continued my restless sleep, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get that information out of my head. Weeks pass, paperwork piles up, and the eye bags under my eyes sink lower and darker. Every time I would close my eyes, the visions and strange shadows would flood my senses. I felt like a crazy person, and the strong urge to tell someone about my visions was getting harder by the day. But how could I explain all this without sounding insane? Could I be sure that I wasn't insane? So I went to sleep each night hesitantly, but when the shadow on the wall moved, my eyes would stay glued onto the figure until dawn, when the sunlight would seep through the windows and the shadow would disappear. Each night the shadow got closer. It was at this point where I was sure my eyes weren't playing tricks on me. What could this shadow be? A monster? Well, monsters aren't real. I couldn't help but think. But in moments of hysteria, it seemed to be the only logical explanation. It began to be a matter of, am I safe to be sleeping here? This shadow was taking a toll on me, and everyone could tell. My movements became almost zombie-ish, and the glazed look in my eyes never completely disappeared. A month passes, and the shadow is gone. But coincidentally, so was the coat rack. It had been sold on the spot as soon as I collapsed from exhaustion. Well, that's good, I thought. Must have been the coat rack all along. My sleep returns, and I begin to pick my life back up, piece by piece. I begin hanging out late with friends once more, studying for my dream future, and scouring the internet for the perfect cooking recipes. I had begun hanging my coats on my door hook. But now it's 3 a.m., and I'm staring at the wall as I write this. The shadow is back, this time without the coat rack. It's getting closer. I don't think I'll be getting any sleep tonight.